Hello, my name is Joy Morin. I'm from the Color in My Piano blog, and I thought I would do another video tutorial today about using music fonts to make worksheets. After the success of the last tutorial, I thought I would share how to do two other fonts. The first one is called Music Quick, and the second font is called Staff Clef Pitches Easy. So just to refer back to my article about a year ago on music fonts, if you scroll down here, I have a list of the different music fonts that are available out there. Last time I showed you how to use some rhythm fonts, these two right here, Rhythms and MusiSync. This time I want to show you fonts that allow you to put notes on the staff. So here is the Staff Clef Pitches Easy, and here is the Music Quick. I'm going to show you Music Quick first. So if you click this link right here, it will bring you to this page here on fontspace.com, and it shows a little bit of a sample for how the Music Quick font looks. And you'll notice that this font has a commercial use allowed, which means any worksheets or printables or other things that you create using this font, you are allowed to sell. And down here it shows you there's a few different versions of this font that come packaged in the zip file when you download it. You'll notice this one says Music Quick version 5. These are version 4s up here. And then the bold here, also the same version. You'll notice the only difference between these fonts is that this one has the 8th note flags and this one has the 16th note flags. So if you go ahead up here and you hit download, then what will happen is a zip file will download that looks like this. And if you double click that, your computer should automatically unarchive that file into this folder. And I'm going to double click. Inside of this folder is a variety of files. First, I'm just going to preview this. This shows you a quick sample that we saw earlier of what you could make using this font. This is pretty fancy. We'll do something more simple. And then the TTF files, that means that that's a font right there. This PNG file, I'm going to preview this, is kind of a character map, although it gives you an overview of all the font characters that are in this font, but it doesn't really tell you what key on the keyboard it correlates to. So it's not very helpful. And then here is another sample, I believe, and then here's some of those other text files here. And like I showed you here, there's 4 different versions. So I picked, I wasn't sure which ones, it's hard to tell which ones are the 4.0 and which ones are the 5. I assumed that I wanted the 5, and I noticed that these two were the larger files, so I assumed that those were the newer ones. So those were the two I installed. The Music Quick right here, that was a bigger file, and then the Music Quick Bold over here, which would have the 16th notes. To install, at least on a Mac, you double click, and then this is the program Font Book, which is kind of the organizer for all the fonts installed on your computer, and then you hit install. Mine's already installed, so I'm not going to click it now. But that's how you do it on a Mac. On the PC, I assume it's similar. You'll probably double click and something will come up and you look for the word install, and it should install it. Once it's installed, then you can open your Microsoft Publisher program. You'll want to make sure that Microsoft Publisher wasn't open before you installed, because otherwise Microsoft Publisher might not recognize the file. So you'll want to close out, open it again, and then you should be able to use the font files. So here's my Microsoft Word, which on the Mac is pretty much the same as Microsoft Publisher as long as I'm in this mode, like I mentioned in the last tutorial, versus this mode. On the PC, it should just be called Microsoft Publisher. All right, so I have a blank file here. I'm going to start entering some text boxes. And I'm going to show you the Music Quick font first. And if you read some of the information about this font, you'll notice that they advise you to use a bigger size. This font looks the best when it's at least 32, according to this. So, and obviously we want it big enough that it will look good on the worksheet. So I'm going to go ahead and try 32, well, here 36, and try that. And right now the font is Times New Roman, so I'm just going to type this in because I know what it is. Music Quick, there it is, hit enter. And here we go. Now if I start typing, you'll see some of these different characters start to appear. So we need a character map to figure out what buttons to push on the keyboard to get what we want. So back to the Font Space website here. If you click on View All next to the font that you're looking at, it will bring you to a character map. So if you click there, you're brought to this page, and this is a character map. It shows you what the characters are within the font, and then which key on the keyboard to press in order to get that. So you'll need to refer to this to kind of learn what those are, and after a while you may start to memorize them a little bit. I've noticed in a lot of fonts, for example, that the ampersand symbol tends to be the treble clef. I don't know if it's because the symbols look similar or what, but anyway, you can find ways to kind of memorize these. Here you'll notice that the parentheses are the forwards and the backwards repeat signs, so that seems kind of easy to remember. All the time signatures are located in the numbers, so you could just sort of click some of the numbers and find the time signature that you need. And then these other notes here, we've got the eighth notes and we've got rests. They just tell you exactly what it is, whether it's a capital T or lowercase letters, and they're kind of in order. So that should be helpful too. So let's see, on my worksheet, I'm gonna start. I need a nice bar line to start my staff, so I'm going to need, this is the apostrophe, and then I'm going to do a treble clef, which is the ampersand, and I believe, yes, there is key signatures down here. I'm going to be in the key of D, so I'm just kind of looking ahead. This is where it gets complicated because you need a cent sign, and there's no button on your keyboard for a cent sign, so I'll get to that in a minute here. Okay, so I'm going to start with apostrophe and treble clef. So I'm going to go back to Microsoft Word, and I have to find the apostrophe. Let's see, it doesn't seem to be working here. The treble clef is the ampersand. There we go. And I believe that the hyphen gives you a minuscule amount of the staff, and the equal sign gives you a nice little piece of staff. I'm going to have to go back and look for that other line. It's not coming when I do the apostrophe, so I'll go back and look for that in a minute. And let's say I do 3/4 times, so I just hit 3. There's 3/4 time. Okay, so that gives me a little bit of a start. If for a worksheet you just wanted a whole bunch of staff, maybe you wanted something blank for the student to be able to write a chord or a scale, you could just continue hitting that equal sign and put a whole bunch of staff here. And that would kind of give you some blank staff for your worksheet. But let's try entering some notes. All right, and I'm just not sure why that apostrophe here is not working. But in any case, I'm going to put in some quarter notes. So you'll notice that there's no clef indications with these notes, so this could work for any clef. It's just, they've got the notes with the ledger lines. This is like, the ledger line here, and it moves up, and then you're up in the staff with the lines and the spaces. So I'm gonna maybe do the third staff note here for a C. So it looks like a capital Y. And there's a C. I'm gonna put a little length of staff in there. Maybe put some more here too, just to space things out a little bit. And then just kind of exploring a little bit. Let's see. So here was that C that I just put in. I'm going to go down and do the X. I'm going to make a little melody. X, some more staff. And I'm just going backwards in the alphabet. You'll notice Y, X, and then W, and my notes are going down. Now, if I'm in 3/4 time, I need a bar line here next. So let's see how that works. So this should be the exclamation mark. We'll see if this one works. There we go. And then some more staff, and we can keep going and put some more notes in here. Maybe I'll take away that space. There we go. And maybe, let's say I'm making a melodic dictation exercise, then maybe I just want to start with only one note, or maybe a couple notes like I've got here, and maybe I'll have the student fill in the rest. And I'll do another exclamation point to make an ending there. Unless I want a double bar line, I can do that as well. That looks like, is that the period symbol? Let's try it and see. Yes. So there's the period, and there's like an ending. So this could be part of a worksheet example that the student would continue. You could write out scales, and the student has to put maybe accidentals in for the scale for what key you're in. You could write out, you can't really do chords with this font because you can't stack the notes on top of each other, but anything that's a melody, you can do with this font. And As you can see on the character map, you can choose from single eighth notes, you can choose from quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. You cannot do beamed eighth notes on 2 different pitches because the font just, isn't really able to do that, because the beams would look crazy when you're trying to do 2 different pitches. So it's a little bit limited, but it's enough for worksheets that you can do some really simple things. So that's the basic use for this font. You can put in rests and things like that as well. So I mentioned earlier for a key signature down here, these fonts are located behind these symbols that are not on your keyboard, so they're a little harder to get to. But there is a way to insert them. If you know how to do to get the insert characters in your Microsoft Publisher program using these numbers, you can do that that way, and it'll insert the right character. Or if you have some other kind of program. I think in my original blog post I mentioned this program that you can download called, I think it's PopCare, for character there. And this right here that I have downloaded is a free trial version, and it lets you see all the characters within a font. Let's see right now what font I don't know what font I have selected, but I want to look from the Music quick. Here it is. And here's all those symbols once again. And when I have my cursor over one of these symbols, down in the left-hand corner, it tells you what it is. So remember earlier, we did the exclamation point for this ending bar line, single bar line. And what this program can do, if I, put Microsoft Publisher, and then I pull this PopCare program up from here, then, I gotta go back to Music quick. There we are. Then what it can do when you click here, it should send it over to whatever program that you're working in, and there it is. In this case, it gave me a new text box because I probably didn't have this going. But it inserted the symbol for you automatically, so you could bypass and not even have to think about the crazy numbers for whatever the symbol is. And because this is a trial version, they've kind of ghosted out some of them so that you can't use the program to the full potential, but I can use it for a few random ones. So if I click this, it has given me this time signature over here. So, well, I'll just copy this and throw it over here just to show you. Oop. Let's see, it gave me an enter. And then maybe you can monkey with the spacing. Maybe that large space is too much, but I feel like a little bit of spacing would be nice. So I'm inserting the hyphen, and it gives you a tiny, tiny bit of staff to space things out. So that's just to give you an idea. So if you wanted, you could purchase the PopCare program, and that would be a really convenient way to use this font to the full potential. The Mac has a character viewer. I've put this symbol here. It's not there by default, I don't think, but if you go into the system preferences and go into your settings, you can find out how to put that there. But if I go to character viewer, this is kind of another way that it will show you all the symbols within a font, and this looks really complicated. But here, the Latin 1 supplement, I don't know, this shows you a series of symbols. Here it shows you what those symbols would look like within a certain font. So this is another possible way. I mean, you really have to dig and figure out how to use this, but it's another possible way to get stuff over here. You can insert using this insert button. So this is showing you all different fonts, but I'd have to look at the MusiSync. There's Music Quick. That's what we're doing. And I could insert this. Let me get my cursor here, and then maybe it will do it. There we are. And then it gave me that flat, which is evidently the what's behind this symbol right here. So anyway, it's not real easy to use, but if you're doing something really simple in your worksheet, then it this font can do that for you definitely. To get some of the more complicated symbols like the key signature, it's a little harder, but you could learn how to do it, I think. I'm going to delete these. So for my worksheet, obviously I could put a nice title here. I could put a name box. I could put some directions in here, but I'll let you do that. I want to show you one more font, so I'm going to make another text box down here. And this font is called Staff Clef Pitches Easy. This is also mentioned in my blog post. And if you click right here on the Staff Clef Pitches Easy, you'll be brought to Matthew Hinson's website. which I have pulled up here. He has a variety of different music fonts here available, and they're free. The only thing he asks is that you don't redistribute them, host it on another website. If you want to share about this font, just send people to this link on his website. So if you scroll down, you'll find some of these different fonts. Here's the Rhythms font I demonstrated in the last tutorial, and here's the one we're talking about today. So if you click for either Mac or Windows, you can download this font, and I've already downloaded this. And let me go back to my downloads folder, and here you'll see the zip file that I downloaded, and then I double-clicked that, and my computer unarchived it and gave me this folder. Inside this folder is, again, a few different files. This font, I don't know why there's 3 different versions of this font in here, but I think I just downloaded this one, and it installed, and it looks good. Matthew Hinson has created a PDF file that is basically a character file. It's a PDF, so I'm going to double-click this, and he shows you here what those letters are and what it correlates to for the symbols. This font is very similar to the last one that we looked at, but there are no stems on the notes. This is for just a very simple part of your worksheet or a project that you're working on where you just want to show a few pitches, but there's no way to show rhythm for those pitches. So that's what this is, and if you scroll down, he's got some tips here for you that you can read through for some other options that you might need. He says that this font looks best at size 12 or above, and he's also got some options for some different clefs that you can use. And then here's, similar to the other font, there's a way to do a small portion of staff or a larger portion of staff, and then there's your ending bar line and so on. So you can refer to this and create some examples similar to what he's shown you down here in much the same way that we did before. For this one, you won't need to monkey with the character map at this PopCare program or this other character map. You can just refer to this PDF, and this seems to be just about everything that's in the program, I believe, so in the font. So maybe I'll do a quick example. Let's see, so my treble clef again is the ampersand symbol. Maybe I'll do my bass clef, which looks a little bit like this question mark here. So let's see here. I need to change my font here to staff, clef pitch is easy, hit enter. And let's see how big size 12 is. I'm curious. So I'll do my question mark to get myself a bass clef. So that's pretty small. So I'm going to hit Control A to select everything, and I'm going to make this a lot bigger. Oops, maybe that's too big. Let's see. There we go. This font seems to have a lot of blank space above and below because it seemed to not show as soon as I was a little bit close. So that's something interesting to notice. Okay, so there's my bass clef. I'm going to go back to my PDF here and look at the notes. So the other font that we looked at had the notes going up the staff according to the order of the alphabet. This one instead uses the order of the keys on the keyboard. So there's Z, if you look at Z on your keyboard, and right next to it is X and C, V, and so on. So that's kind of nice, and just visually you move up to the next line on your keyboard and the notes are going to continue going all the way up into the ledger lines. So let's, maybe I'm going to write out a scale. So I just hit D and that gave me a G, so we'll go with a G scale. So I'm just going to move over on my keyboard to F, G, H, and just move on up. That K must not be a button in this font. So let me go back to my PDF and look. Okay, it stops at the J, and there's nothing further. So to get up to my next one, I need to jump over to Q. Okay, so here's Q, and I can keep going, and then I'm at G. So if I wanted the student to be able to put sharps to make this scale be a major scale, let's say, I maybe would want a little more room for them to be able to write their sharp. So let me look at this again and put a small space between everything. And this is the equal symbol. So I'll click back here and space everything out by putting an equal symbol between everything. And then I just want to end with a bar line just to make it look nice and neat. So let me go back to my PDF. And I get a single bar line or a double bar line. So I think I'll do the double bar line here. So I have to find the key on my keyboard that looks like this, and then if I do 2 of them in a row, it'll give me the double bar line it looks like. So there we go. So there's another little musical example I could put in my worksheet. So in any case, I hope this gives you a little bit of an overview for how to use these two fonts for making music worksheets and different music examples for any projects you might be working on. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know and I'll see if I can answer them for you. Thanks for watching.